this conversation will be that you present your report, and afterwards we start the dialogue with that topic in mind, the recovery, how are we equipped? Migdalia, I don't know if you can explain this to the participants, so we can go ahead and give the word to our great friends, Gary and Paul.
Gracias, Eduardo. Buenas tardes a todos. Nuevamente es un gusto saludarlos. Tal y como dice Eduardo Chaillo, muchas gracias, Paul, Gary, por estar con nosotros. Thank you very much for being with us. And vamos a empezar entonces a la presentación que nos va a compartir Paul. Una vez que Paul haya hecho la presentación, pues tendríamos la oportunidad de preguntas y respuestas para que podamos ya hacer un conversatorio de esta presentación del resultado de un trabajo que nos ha traído pues, por varios meses atrás, a raíz de información que los conversiones han proporcionado, y a raíz de eso pues llegar a las conclusiones que hoy presentará Paul. Thank you, Paul. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Migdalia, Eduardo, and Silvana. I'd like to actually ask Gary to provide some opening comments on behalf of Gaining Edge, and then I will present the report after his overview. So, Gary, over to you.
Okay, thanks for that. It's good to see everybody, and we're really pleased to have this opportunity to present the report and to have a discussion with you about it. I think everyone knows this is the second project we've done for ACLC, and it's been great working with you. And before we say anything else, just wanted to first recognize Vinicius, who is the Gaining Edge scholar, the young member of our team who did all the writing and work and research on this report, and also Paul, who managed and mentored and supported, and I think probably got a little bit involved in the development of the report. And also Silvana, Grazi. I don't think Grazi's on the call, but Silvana and Grazi and Migdalia and Eduardo, because great leadership from your organization. Great to work with you, and you helped us a lot in terms of supporting the effort and helping us through it and helping us get through it well. Hopefully everybody will agree with that. I do have some thoughts about the report and some advice that I want to share during the discussion part of this session. But I think it's probably better to just turn it back over to Paul and let him present the report, and then I can just kind of join in on the discussion as it develops. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Paul.
Okay, thank you, Gary. And I will share my screen in a minute. Before doing so, I just wanted to make sure that the audience is aware that they will receive a copy of the full report in both Spanish and Portuguese, Spanish or Portuguese, I guess, depending on their preference. Obviously, we've written the report in English as well, so we've wanted to make it as available as possible to all the languages represented in the region. So I will share my screen here, and we will walk through the report. Now, a number of you, but before I proceed, I just wanted to thumbs up from Migdalia or Silvana. You can see the screen, you can see my presentation? Okay, very good. A number of you would have seen, who are on this call today, would have seen a copy of our research results that we did discuss back in March. So I will provide a very brief overview of those results, but really want to focus more on the next steps and our recommendations. And I know that it'll form part of the discussion after the presentation. You know, pandemic or not, this is the time to professionalize and enhance the industry in the region. There is a saying, and I'm sure you've all heard it many times before, but a crisis is too good an opportunity to miss. And it really now, with the situation being as it is in not just obviously Latin America, but the world, this is really the time to think about how do we want to be different coming out of the pandemic. And we believe there are plenty of opportunities for Latin America, the Latin America region and the Caribbean, as represented by the association, to take that step. Now, we will be referring to, in the document and in this presentation, the ACLC. That's the terminology we're using to reference the association, the Association de CVB'S LATAM and El Caribe, or otherwise known as CVB'S LATAM Association. So when you see me discussing in the presentation the ACLC, that's who I'm referring to. There we go. So project overview. What is this project really all about? It's simply to examine the potential opportunity for enhancing professionalism, industry professionalism in the region. Now, this report has been done on behalf of the ACLC. And so what you will see in the presentation and in the report is the focus is on development of ACLC as an association. And many of you are members of the association, or you're interested in what the association may be doing, and ways in which you can contribute. As Gary mentioned, this is part of our scholar program. And each year, our company, Gaining Edge, works with a university student in different parts of the world and provides them with an opportunity to work on a meaningful project. And Vinicius Ribeiro da Silva, who's a recent graduate of the University of Sao Paulo, joined us on this project and did the research and contributed to the final report writing. Now, a little bit about the association itself. The ACLC is governed by a voluntary board, and of which you've been introduced, and you know, Silvana being the president of the board. In our conversations with people in this project, we certainly found that members and those who are affiliated to the association are definitely committed to the goals and what the ACLC is trying to commit to. Now, the organization has a very small budget, and there are currently 190 members, of which only 10% pay a fee. And we'll address that a bit later in the discussion. The activities of the association are to help develop the region through destination marketing, business opportunities, and promotional strategies. However, there is a significant lack of resources available for the ACLC to do its job, and we certainly address that in this report. Now, from the very beginning, it was very important from the association's perspective to focus in on three main areas: training and professional development, economic and legacy measurement, and client database systems. So our work was focused in these three areas, and you will see the research and the recommendations related to each of those three areas. We started the project back in August of 2020 and proceeded to do the main part of the research and the part in the November period of 2020. We conducted our analysis and assessment beginning of this year and presented the final report to the board of the association in June of this year. So the research, as I mentioned, a number of you on this call would have been on our presentation of the research results in March. So I'm going to only touch on a few of the findings. Again, the report itself, the final report, which you will get. Sorry, I'm hearing some. Okay, that's gone. I don't know if the others could hear it, but I had some noise on my screen here on my video and audio. So the gaps and opportunities research. We conducted an online survey of the industry, and we also conducted one-on-one interviews. First of all, the online survey results. The survey went out a number of times. I think it was 3 or 4 times to the membership of the association, as well as others who are in their database. We received 76 completed surveys from 13 different countries, and Brazil had the highest response rate of the 76. We did send the survey out in both Spanish and Portuguese. As far as memberships and associations, the people who responded to the survey, 13% are members of ICA, 8% of MPI, 7% of COCAL. I was a little surprised that these numbers are low. I thought they would be higher. And Destinations International, who we've mentioned already in this discussion, was even lower than that. So a little bit of a surprise, I think, from the point of view of the profile of the industry. Job position, 64% of the people responding are DMOs, CVB'S, directors, or managers. The annual budgets, 59% have an annual budget of less than 150,000 US. Now that number is not significant, and I think you would all know that on the call, and those of you who work with are in a CVB or work with a CVB, but it is a limited budget, and we have to recognize that as we develop our analysis and our recommendations for what can be done. And finally, revenue sources for the association, majority of those revenues do come from, the revenue for the CVBs do come from membership fees. So some of the key findings, first of all, we wanted to find out through asking the respondents how important were the following areas to them. And as you can see, the rankings from the top in communications industry updates as being the most important through to certification and accreditation. Now, even though these are ranked 1 to 8, the sense is, though, that all of them are important. There's nothing that ranks below 66%. So all of these areas are of importance to the industry. Again, of the few areas that have more of an interest as far as importance is concerned, being communications, industry updates, promotion of the region, and industry research. We also asked what the people who responded to the survey, what was their view of how strong are these products and services in terms of Latin America and the Caribbean. And as you can see, the numbers are fairly low. Events and sessions is ranked the highest as far as the strength, the availability and the quality is the highest for that one, but only at 62%. And on down to industry research, only 27% of the respondents felt that was strong, 26% government advocacy, and certification accreditation, 25%. Now, when you summarize the results and put the importance against the strength, you can see the gaps. And part of this work was to conduct a gap analysis. So the areas that we have highlighted on this table in green, we say is a minimal gap. Those that are in yellow on the column under gap would have some gap greater than minimal, and the more significant gaps are in the red. So as again, as you can see from this chart, quite large gaps between what is seen as important to the industry and the availability and quality of the services to the industry. And obviously all of these require some kind of attention. We also broke it down, and again, you get details in the survey, the final report, I should say, of the survey, but breaking down each of the main areas. So training professional development, if you remember, was one of our key pillars we wanted to look at. And we asked them, how important are the following topics to you? And again, all of it ranked very highly, the lowest being 85% up to destination management, 96%, which I do think is quite interesting. Destination management itself becoming much more prominent for DMOs, not just in terms of importance in Latin America, but the importance to DMOs, frankly, around the world. There's more and more discussion around destination management as a key function area, a key area to pay attention to amongst CVB'S and DMOs. Again, we wanted to go into what we asked in more detail about areas, specific areas of industry research and measurement. Clearly, the top measurement here are of the importance of industry measurement is economic impact measures, and 95%, obviously almost everybody said that's important to them. Digital marketing measurements, very high, convention, MICE sales, and so forth, down the list. But again, all of these are ranked quite high with some differences between, subtle differences between some of these topics. And finally, again, the third area we're focused on in this project was business development tools and CRM systems becoming almost entirely everybody saying that's important, and 97% with that in mind. So social media and on down the list, and ambassador programs. Again, 83%, even though it's ranked here as the 10th most important, these are all very high scores. So that's the sort of quick summary of the surveys. Then we move to the one-on-one interviews, and our scholar Vinicius did a terrific job of interviewing 20 key leaders in the region. And what we wanted to do, we spent about half an hour to 45 minutes talking to each one of these people, is to discuss gaps and opportunities of professionalism in the region. So we talked about the 3 topic areas, and they were very forthright and welcoming, frankly, of the chance to speak about this topic. Here's the list of the first 10 that were interviewed, and as you can see here, we have, you'll recognize some of these names, many of these names, including our colleague Eduardo, who was interviewed here, who works with Merits, but everybody from the World Travel and Tourism Council to SITE, to PCMA, Destinations International, COCAL, and so forth were interviewed. So lots of really senior, experienced, knowledgeable people. And here's the remainder group that we discussed. So 20 in total, MPI, Simple View, ICA. So very good collection and diverse members of the industry, leaders of the industry who are coming at it with different perspectives of what's important. As far as the what they told us is, overall, there's is a gap, something that I think we all know going into this project. That wasn't new, and something I'm sure on the folks on this call would agree to. There is a gap that currently exists. However, once again, these industry leaders felt very positive about contributing to the development of professionalism in the region. Specifically, they mentioned it's important and necessary to attract young talent into the industry. The importance of networking opportunities are very important. And to ensure that, when we'll talk about this in a minute, but ensure that the certifications and education are more tailored towards the region. Part of the reason for the gap is that a lot of the certification and education programs are developed elsewhere. They're either developed in the US, developed in other parts of the world, but US, Europe possibly. But a lot of these programs need to develop a more Latin sensitivity. Education, certification, the need for better presenters at sessions, conferences, events, and the like. And it's very important to reach out and to make sure that the industry in Latin America is working with the university, the academic community. A few other key findings. Again, the more details are in the final report, but advocacy is seen as very important, focusing on the benefits of focusing on the local community and benefits for the local community. You need to invest in measurement tools, reinforcing what was talked about in the surveys, the online surveys, and sales and CRM tools. Again, here, this notion of Latinizing CRM tools and importance of having rich big data. But again, this came out in the interviews that we held with the leaders. So that brings us to the final section, and this is the most important of the report, and this because it really talks about where do we go from here, and provides recommendations moving forward. So, as I've mentioned in my presentation of the research results, there is a need to develop. There's a need in the region to develop professionalism. But there's also strong interest to improve and to find ways to come up, to solve this matter and to have solutions moving forward. There is a gap in quality, relevancy, availability, and we feel that this gap provides an opportunity for the association to enhance its role and its value. Perhaps part of the reason why the association doesn't have of the members who are contributing, only 10% are contributing, is perhaps because the association itself needs to enhance its role and value. So we'll get to that in a minute. But what we wanted to do was we said, okay, let's see the main areas that the region, the association should be focused on: professional development, CRM, measurement tools, and what kind of role could the association play, recognizing the association is limited by time and resources. So we put it through a filter, a lens of 4 different roles that the association could consider. First is to operate in what we call an ad hoc way. So that's similar to how the association operates now, basically providing information to organizations who offer products and services, but it's not it's ad hoc in the sense that it only when it's reactive, only when maybe you're being asked. The next level is to develop a set of trusted programs and services to direct people to associations and companies that offer what would be called trusted programs and services. This is where the association could play a bit more of a role, and there would have to be some kind of criteria before the ACLC provided that referral, and potentially the association could receive a fee for playing that role. Partnering with other organizations is certainly another option for the association in these areas. So partner with the other associations and companies to develop or modify programs or services to the marketplace. And the fourth and final option, which is where it would be nice to get to at some point, we don't believe the association will be able to do this in the next little while anyways, but is to initiate and develop programs and services which are customized to the industry. That's ideally where you want to get to, but we believe you have to take a few steps before you get to that particular point. So we put everything through that lens, and then we took a look at, based on those kind of 4 roles that the association could play, do they have the available resources? Do you have the time to deliver? Will have a positive impact on the association, leave positive impressions? How relevant, how market relevant and is the particular product and service to the industry? Is it aligned with the purpose of the association? Clearly, the association shouldn't be doing anything which is not aligned with its vision and mission. Do you have the competencies in place to deliver? And finally, is there some kind of revenue potential for the association to generate revenue from that product or service? So we came up with 7 recommendations. I'll just go through each one here. The first recommendation, we believe to advance and develop the training professional development area, is to establish partnerships with other associations. Now, we've identified here Destinations International and ICA. The primary reason we're focused on associations that have a mandate and also currently have programs in place for the CVB DMO industry. The ACLC is focused on the CVB DMO industry, even though its membership is broader than that. But nevertheless, ICA, as I think many of you know, is an association, an international association focused on the international conventions market. Destinations International is US based and focused primarily on the DMO CVB industry, but they both already have professional development programs in place. And we believe there's an opportunity for ACLC to partner with them. And we know that they're already having discussions. Silvana and the executive team are already having discussions with both those associations. But also for individual CVBs in the region to reach out, if you haven't already, to local experts and universities, and to start discussing ways in which you can potentially partner on training and professional development in your community. So again, best efforts should be made to Latinize educational programs and other industries as well. Other industry associations, in addition to what I've already mentioned, should be approached. Our second recommendation related to measurement is to act as an intermediary for trusted services. There are limited resources to create new programs, so we believe the association could approach universities, consultants, or other parties to determine if partnerships could be formed. So a next step could be for the association to issue an expression of interest to the industry, to identify those organizations that have the credentials to be a trusted service. So in a way, what's happening here is the association starts acting as an agent to bring together vendors and suppliers. And we believe the association could be compensated once a deal is consummated. So for example, a destination in Latin America coming together with a provider a provider of economic measurement tools, for example, and if they bring together those two groups and they move forward in some kind of an arrangement, then perhaps the ACLC could receive some kind of a not easy to do. If you want to do something that's credible, believable, and is going to get the attention of your governments, of your industry, of your stakeholders, you need to have measurement tools which do the job. So we think that the first step here could be for the ACLC to request leaders from various associations, organizations, to sit on a task force. And that task force's job would be to determine if and how a basic impact calculator could be co-created for the region. Something where people who work in this area, who are experts in impact measurements, could sit around a table and discuss the potential for LATAM to co-create a calculator that could be used across the region. They would meet regularly and then disband, say once the work was done. And essentially the outcome of this group would be to determine what are the requirements for a standardized impact tool. And this could be then be an added value service that the ACLC provides to its members. Our fourth recommendation is to act as an intermediary for CRM providers. And again, there are some excellent providers out there who have CRM systems, some of which are very much used in many different destinations. Others are new, others are customized. But we believe that part of this is to ensure that the industry enhances its knowledge as well about CRM systems and what they can do. Clearly, the CRM systems need to be customized for language purposes, but the ACLC could negotiate with the providers a preferred pricing model, and something that I think could work well if the ACLC took this on. And one of the recommendations, or one of the action steps within this recommendation, is to actually conduct a learning session on CRM solutions. You could invite competitive CRM providers. You could provide destinations who've successfully launched CRM solutions to have a webinar to discuss specifically CRM, what to look for, what not to look for, how to implement. We've seen in many destinations lots of money being spent on CRM, and they get a CRM system and they don't have any implementation strategies. And so it's really important that that there's a learning occurs with those who are interested in enhancing their CRM capabilities. Our fifth recommendation is for a leads exchange program to be held, and this would be held on a regular basis. But at the foundation of any good business development is meaningful leads, and many of you on this call who are working for destinations or working with destinations, working with CVB'S, and whatever the case, know that it's an incredibly competitive industry, but there's lots of valuable opportunities out there. And we think a leads exchange program, structured lead exchange program between interested members of the ACLC and industry could go a long way. So what would happen in a leads exchange program is there would be a sharing of bid intelligence. The participants would register and share at least one convention lead that rotates in the region. And from an ACL perspective, this would initially be offered to members, but non-members, and non-members, but over time becomes a member-only event. Another consideration is that the ACLC develops an events calendar, which is populated as a shared resource by the industry. And that's another area that we think is worth exploring. The sixth recommendation focuses on specifically on the association, the structure and priorities of the ACLC. So we recommend to continue having a presence. Today, for example, it helps the ACLC with its reach with the industry. Right now, the organization does not have a strategic plan. It does have plans, but not a strategic plan. And we think that their time should be spent on developing a strategic plan. We do recommend that the association charge a base fee. And I know there's a fee in place, but it's not charged. It's only charged right now. Only 10% of the businesses are paying that, who call themselves members. And you can develop a base fee in many different ways, but have different categories, and eventually, if we get enough revenue to have revenue to potentially pay for a part-time person. And the reason we're recommending this is, and I think all of you would recognize this on the call, but people like Silvana, like Magdalia, like Grazi, like Eduardo, Anna Maria, and so forth, they have full-time jobs, and it's only through their passion and belief in the industry and that things are moving forward. But eventually, people in those positions of priorities and also their energy goes elsewhere. So we think over time, if there's an opportunity to generate even a little bit of revenue for the organization, it could go towards a part-time administrator or a membership development person. Approaching major players for support, there could be an opportunity here with the pandemic to approach some major brands and ask them to participate, get involved in more meaningful way with the association. A few other points for the ACLC is develop and identify, develop member benefits. whether that's member-only communications, affinity programs, mentoring programs, and perhaps opportunities for members to learn from each other, matching up one member of the association with another member of the association, perhaps an association that or a CVB that has been around for longer, helping mentor a new CVB, or even from an individual standpoint, somebody new to the industry being matched up with somebody who's been in the industry for a while. And once you've developed a clear value proposition, we think there's opportunities for the association to grow. And there's a few points under here, but these are things that could come out of a strategic plan and would really help the association further develop itself in the future. Our final recommendation is for the association to take the lead in calling for a global leadership advisory council. And that group would come together to discuss gaps and opportunities for the region, many of who were participated in the survey, the 20 industry leaders, and there'd be some others, but asking them to participate in a global advisory council. And this council would take the report that has been developed and help review the results, review the information, review the recommendation, and provide recommendations on what's on next steps and key actions and so forth. So this step would be we suggest is and there's some discussion about calling this the first council meeting in September or October of this year. And the role of this group is to provide guidance to the association, to be a sort of eyes and ears of what's happening out there in the global landscape, but these are people, we would want people who are involved here, who really believe in the potential of Latin America region. And based on our interviews with those 20 people, we really know that those people feel that there is very, very strong potential for the region. So they would support the outreach of the association and the strategies. It would be, we would suggest between 20 and 25 executives and leaders, and meet 1 to 2 times a year. So it wouldn't be a huge onus on their time, but ensure that the meetings that were held would be very meaningful and help keep things on track with the association. So that's it for my part. Thank you so much for the time, and I will turn it now over to Savannah and for questions, answers, comments from the audience. I'll stop sharing my screen. There we go.
Very good. I think very practical recommendations, and I am sure that we will take advantage of those, and we need to move fast, because I think this is the moment in which people would be engaged, looking for a group or an association that will help them. Migdalia, no sé si tengas algún comentario preliminar antes de empezar con la sesión de preguntas y respuestas.
Gracias. Sí, coincido contigo de que el momento, el call to action es now, es ahora, porque ya justo cuando se hizo toda esta investigación, todo este trabajo, tanto dentro de los burós como con los expertos que presentaba Paul, pues las cosas van cambiando, y lo que buscamos pues es estar listos para responder ante esa demanda, estar preparados, capacitados en el idioma. Me gusta mucho el latinized en inglés, ¿verdad? Es el de pasar al español. Muchas de las capacitaciones, certificaciones que se dan por y para ciertos destinos, pero que no están hechos para nuestro mercado, pero que muchos de sus contenidos pueden estandarizarse para nuestros países. Así que thank you very much, Paul, for your full presentation. Muy buena presentación y resume todo el trabajo que ha venido realizando Gaining Edge desde agosto. Dejaríamos entonces abierta el momento para preguntas y respuestas y pues con mucho gusto intervenimos Silvana, Eduardo y yo para apoyar.
Bueno, mientras, si quiere alguien, digamos, hacer algunas consultas, a mí me gustaría contarles que ni bien recibimos el informe de parte de Paul Valley, Vinicius, bueno, y empezamos a trabajar con el equipo, estas recomendaciones que nos hicieron llegar, y como conclusiones queríamos comentarles que desde el punto de vista de la recomendación número 1, habíamos ya avanzado en las tentativas de un acuerdo con Destinations International y ya tuvimos una reunión también con la gente de ICA, es decir, que la recomendación número 1 en el mes de julio ya podríamos decir que fue misión cumplida. Además, el 17 de agosto, en el marco de nuestra asamblea anual ordinaria que se va a desarrollar en IBTM, en Citibanamex, en el marco de ABTM, vamos a anunciar este convenio y este acuerdo junto a Gabe Seider, que nos va a acompañar. Así que bueno, ya también hemos avanzado en la primera recomendación, que podemos decir que la tenemos con luz verde, ¿sí? Green, un semáforo, vamos a calcularlo así como un semáforo para ver cómo vamos avanzando de aquí a diciembre según lo que nos ha recomendado a nosotros, a la asociación Gaining Edge. Con relación a la herramienta número 2...
Can I translate?
Okay. Sorry.
What Silvana is saying is that number 1 recommendation is almost done, that we can put the light in green because there's a MOU signed with Destinations International that will be announced at IBTM Americas in Mexico City this same month. And they are also working with ICA in a regional basis.
Voy una por una. En cuanto a la recomendación número 2, estamos en el mismo camino. Voy a hacer la 2 y la 3 para que puedas trasladar. ¿Sí? Tanto la 2 como la 3 la sentimos que está en un aspecto de luz verde, porque cuando hablamos de herramientas de medición vamos a trabajar de aquí a diciembre con Gabe el tema de la posibilidad de ofrecer la calculadora que tiene Destinations International. Pero también hay que sumar universidades. Nos queda en una luz amarilla el tema de sumar universidades. Y también avanzo con la recomendación 3, que tiene que ver con el grupo de trabajo de medición para el impacto, que viene como en ese mismo camino. Así que todo eso lo vamos a trabajar, la 2 y la 3 juntos, hacia diciembre con el equipo de Destinations International.
2 and 3 will be worked by with also this partnership with Destinations International through the economic impact calculator. And also the second part is that they are also signing some partnerships with universities to make that happen as well.
Un poco la idea también es poder brindarle estas herramientas a nuestros socios para que en 2022, cuando inicie el año, puedan arrancar, digamos, con elementos para poder jugar en el mercado y venderse de una manera con sus gobiernos, y además volver a empezar a medir de una manera óptima. La recomendación número 4, que tenía que ver con aliarnos con partners vinculados a CRM, estamos con un proceso lento de maduración en los burós, y esa está en roja. Y es sobre la que más, yo creo que es el mayor desafío que tendremos para fines de este año o inicio del 2022.
The fourth recommendation regarding the CRM systems is delayed because of the structural problems of the members. So she thinks that it will take time to do this CRM culture and also infrastructure to be the intermediary with these companies.
Con relación a la 5, que refiere al programa regional de intercambio de leads, un poco la idea era empezar a trabajar en el marco del encuentro de burós que vamos a desarrollar a fines de septiembre, donde vamos a abordar el tema del intercambio de leads, en el marco también de las 6, que tiene un plan estratégico del plan operativo de acción. O sea, esas están en amarillo, en este semáforo las vamos a poner en amarillo, porque en el marco de ese plan estratégico también vamos a trabajar la propuesta de valor del plan operativo, un plan operativo de acción 2021 1-2023, ¿sí? Así que bueno, las 5 están en amarillo, reitero, hago un resumen ahí de las 5, para intercambio de leads. Tenemos que terminar de trabajar junto a ICA con eso, y lo vamos a abordar en primer término en ese evento que vamos a hacer a fines de septiembre, en un formato híbrido.
So they are organizing a leads exchange event in September in a hybrid format for the DMO members of the association. Also, they're working hard with ICA for this recommendation. And in the strategic partnership part, they will also take part of that meeting in September and the DMO day to work on this strategic partnership program.
La 5 va de la mano de la 7, donde hablábamos del foro de líderes. En ese mismo marco vamos a conformar ese foro de líderes donde los invitamos a Paul y a Gary para avanzar en este consejo asesor, que ya la asociación lo tiene conformado, pero es ponerlo en acción y empezar a trabajar estas herramientas para la reactivación, ¿sí?
He says that there's already an advisory board or advisory council within the association. But in this same framework of the event in September, they're gonna extend that in which you will be invited and all the interviewees to make it more global.
Y la 6 es el desarrollo del plan estratégico, que lo vamos a lanzar en el marco de la asamblea en agosto. Entonces, bueno, ya con eso estaríamos con estas 3 últimas en un semáforo amarillo para terminar de avanzarlos hasta diciembre del 2021.
So steps in all of the recommendations are being taken.
Yes. Y finalmente, algo que me parece muy importante destacar, ya hablamos del consejo de lanzarlo en diciembre, el plan operativo en agosto, el grupo de medición de impacto que lo vamos a trabajar a fines también de agosto, la alianza con los proveedores, eso está en el plan de acción. Nos queda el lanzamiento del instituto académico en el marco de la asamblea también. Vamos a lanzar el instituto académico de la industria de reuniones, donde vamos a trabajar una oferta educativa para todo el sector. Ahí, Edu, no sé si me escucharon. ¿Hola?
You see, also they will be planning and they will be building with the universities and with the academic partners a educational program for all the sector.
Okay, it's all. Okay.
Muy bien. Very good. So I don't know if, no sé si tengan alguna pregunta los participantes en esta, para hacerlo un poquito más dinámico.
Elenis, ¿querés hacer alguna consulta, algún aporte desde San Pablo? Aí estamos.
Olá, tudo bem? Eu estou muito feliz porque isso nos traz grandes expectativas de um crescimento, de um desenvolvimento profissional. Quem está acompanhando mais passo a passo é a Cíntia, mas estamos muito otimistas com tudo que foi apresentado. E eu acredito agora que depende do engajamento de todos nós, de todos os CVB'S, para que estejamos juntos em setembro, para que a gente possa levar adiante esse belo projeto.
Excelente, muchas gracias, Elenis. ¿Alguien más quiere tomar la palabra? ¿Alguna pregunta? ¿Algún comentario? Miguel Larraca. Con Miguel un poco se había avanzado con las... arrancamos estos proyectos de Gaining Niche junto a Miguel Larraca, nuestro past president, que también se refiere en el informe completo, que está adjunto aquí en el chat para todos los que los quieran descargar, aparecen los antecedentes de Gaining Niche junto a la asociación en la época de la presidencia de Miguel. Bienvenido, Miguel.
Gracias. Bueno, no tengo mucho que aportar ni preguntar porque las presentaciones fueron realmente muy claras y creo que esto es una muy buena noticia que obviamente en estos 2 últimos años se ha venido gestionando y no me queda más que felicitar por un lado, agradecer por el otro, y poner esta cuota de compromiso, ¿no?, que tienen que poner las oficinas de convenciones, los convention bureaus, en un trabajo conjunto, que sabemos es duro, pero no es imposible. Nuevamente el agradecimiento a Gary por haber empezado allá en el año 2013 esta cuestión. Fue en Florianópolis, recuerdo perfectamente. Y aunque el tiempo pasa, creo que las ideas, la voluntad, el espíritu y la pasión por esta industria sigue intacta. No creo que esta situación de pandemia nos atemorice mucho más de todo lo que venimos viviendo. Pero bueno, hay que también ser optimistas, cautelosos, cuidadosos, y este material que han compartido es realmente excelente. Nuevamente, felicitaciones, Silvana y todo el equipo por la gestión, y estoy seguro que esto dará sus frutos, aunque sea de a poco, en pocos pasos, pero dará sus frutos. Muchas gracias y un placer verlo a Gary, verlo a Paul, bueno, y a todos los amigos, obviamente.
Both
Bueno,
Helenice and Miguel have very grateful comments for you, Paul and Gary. And he was reminding the beginning of this work in 2013 in Florianopolis, when this volunteer contribution from Gaining Edge was so important for the association. So he's very thankful, and he's happy that even with so many years that have passed, they're still committed, and the engagement is there. And this is a good time to recover all those conversations.
Bueno, yo personalmente no quiero terminar este foro, que nos queda poquito tiempo, sin agradecer. Agradecimientos especiales puntualmente obviamente a Paul. Gracias, Gary, por acompañarnos con este programa de responsabilidad social empresaria que tiene Gaining Edge, donde siempre ha apoyado a la asociación. Gracias, Paul, por todo el trabajo que desarrollamos durante casi un año. Gracias a Vinicius, que hoy no nos ha podido acompañar porque justo estaba complicado en este horario. Y muy especialmente a mis colaboradoras, pero además amigas. A Graciela Padoín, que ha hecho un gran trabajo y siempre sigue aportando mucho, mucho por nuestra industria y hace siempre sus aportes ad hoc. Gracias, Migdalia, por el acompañamiento, por la colaboración, por estar siempre. Gracias, por ser un incondicional. A Eduardo, como siempre, por asesorarnos, por ser parte de este gran proyecto que es la asociación, donde es un momento donde podemos llegar a dar un salto de calidad para poder brindarle a nuestros socios algunas herramientas para esta pronta reactivación que todos nuestros destinos necesitan en este contexto de pandemia.
I don't know, Gary, you wanted to say something else before Paul started his presentation, so maybe this is a good moment.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking I'd join in with some of the discussion, and I've been listening. I guess I have a general kind of big picture observation. And that's that when I listen to Silvana talk about all the things that are already happening, it's very impressive. And the reason it's impressive is because you're running an organization that has no budget and it has no staff. And that makes you like a lot of young, usually new organizations that try to do their work through volunteers, which is the way it is with ACLC. You've got a good core group of volunteers, obviously, because you're making lots of progress. But I guess the caution I would share with everyone is that organizations like yours tend to kind of go through highs and lows. When you have strong leadership like you have now, you're making good progress. But sometimes you have weak periods where the leadership isn't so engaged, isn't really driving things forward as fast. And so ultimately, if you want to be a successful organization, you're going to need resources, and ultimately those organizations like yours that are successful, that they have paid staff. Just as simple as that. It's a tough thing to figure out how to fix because you got no resources. But the other observation I'd make is that
Gary, just a question on this topic.
Yeah.
I agree completely. I mean, we don't have enough Migueles and Silvanas and volunteer people to continue this, which is almost an apostolado, we call it. But my question is it necessarily hiring a manager or somebody, or maybe an AMC model?
Yeah, no, it can be either, and you're making a good point, because usually the transition is first you would go hire a association management company, and even that can be in stages, meaning association management companies can offer a lot of broad range of services, and you can pick and choose which are most fundamental, or which ones you can afford and are highest priority. So the evolution, as you're suggesting, Eduardo, is first it's volunteers, then people figure out we've got to have some professional management, can't afford our own staff, so therefore let's contract with you said AMC, Association Management Company, to help us. They provide professional management, but it's through a contract. And then ultimately, as you grow, usually if the organization can afford it, they will transition from an AMC to having their own paid staff. So yeah, that's a key point that you're making, Eduardo. You know, the other thing I'm thinking is that at the very beginning of Paul's presentation, he talked about how there's, I think only 20% of the respondents, if I remember, were members, were paying membership fees to be involved. And also at the very beginning, it said that one of the common problems is that all of the members have very limited resources. And what's important about an association like this is that it provides economy of scale, meaning the association with all of you working together can always do things faster, better, and less expensively if you're doing them together rather than doing them individually. And I'll pick up on Silvana's point about the CRM being later. To me, this whole project's about capacity building and about the success of Latin America. And the two key factors in that will be your infrastructure and your human capacity. And so for destination marketing organizations, to me, CRM is such a fundamental need. I say to clients all the time, if you don't have a good CRM system, you're leaking data and you're not going to ultimately be successful. You must, if you're a DMO, have a CRM system just to manage all your data and to operate efficiently. Well, all of you could go individually to get that. And if you did that individually, it's going to cost a lot more than if you work together to do it. And the other thing is that I heard Paul saying that the view is things have to be Latinized. No CRM provider is going to get serious about moving into Latin America unless they have a number of users. And ultimately, Latin America is not going to have good CRM systems unless it's user-driven through a user group like yours. So I do think that economy of scale is really important. And if people are worried about their budgets and their ability to get things done, working through ACLC is going to be, like I say, faster, cheaper, better. So I'm really impressed by what's going on, Silvana. You're making great progress. But I think everybody on this call needs to see themselves as part of the organization and part of helping it grow so it can do even more.
Gracias, Gary. Thank you very much. So
Muchas gracias. Y la realidad es que es uno de nuestros grandes desafíos el tema de la monetización, que también es una de las recomendaciones, y monetizando vamos a poder mejorar nuestra estructura y nuestra infraestructura organizativa, obviamente nuestra administración y nuestra gestión de la organización. Entonces, creo que eso es uno de los temas fundamentales que van a aparecer en ese plan de acción, en el aumento de membresías, en el aumento de la monetización de los ingresos percibidos para la asociación, post pandemia. Así que bueno, Gracias, gracias Gary por tus recomendaciones, por tu liderazgo y por siempre acompañarnos. Thank you. And I wait for you in Mendoza to drink and toast with the Malbec.
I'll look forward to that.
Bueno, gracias a todos. No sé si Migdalia querés hacer alguna conclusión y luego Eduardo. Me gustaría ustedes dos un par de conclusiones y así ya vamos cerrando. Un saludo para después que se extienda a Gary, Paul y ya vamos cerrando.
Bueno, muchas gracias a todos por conectarse. Esto que hoy se está presentando de forma rápida es algo que lo tienen ustedes en el documento que se compartió de forma más explícita y Silvana muy bien ha hecho la explicación, presentación de los pasos que tenemos por llegar todo a verde. Pues prácticamente cada uno tiene sus retos para alcanzarse, sus gaps para alcanzarse. Sin embargo, somos una asociación, yo diría, resiliente y gracias Silvana por tu liderazgo. Pues te hemos acompañado desde el inicio, hemos estado contigo desde las conexiones y no conexiones, desde el internet que se nos va, que se nos viene. Afortunadamente, pues así ha sido en este tiempo de pandemia, desde que empezamos con los webinars y pues admiro tu liderazgo, tu dedicación y pues nada de esto podría desarrollarse si no fuera a través de ese liderazgo que tú has demostrado llevándonos y acompañándonos, yéndote tú a la par de nosotros hacia donde estamos. Hay una gran expectativa para todos los burós en septiembre, en nuestro encuentro que tenemos programado, el plan que se va a presentar ahorita en agosto. Hay muchas cosas que tenemos que hacer y el llamado es a todos los burós que sigan siendo parte de la asociación. Juntos somos más y vamos a lograr más si seguimos unidos por Latinoamérica. Queremos nosotros destacar como un continente unido, competitivo, y eso se va a lograr siempre y cuando trabajemos sin fronteras. Aquí estamos todos unidos a la par, juntos en una plataforma con una distancia que nos separa miles de kilómetros, pero no importa el idioma, todos estamos acá por Latinoamérica. Gracias, Gaining Edge, por acompañarnos, por fortalecer nuestras competencias que queremos elevar. Como destino, pues estamos listos, preparados y resilientes a lo que venga, porque estamos preparados, nos estamos fortaleciendo y gracias Silvana por tu liderazgo. Nada podría ser posible si no fuera a través de tu dirección y con el acompañamiento de todos ustedes y pedirles a los que no están hoy presentes y a los que están acá, que los conocen, pues que se sumen. Ya saben ustedes todas las brechas que tenemos que alcanzar y siendo más va a ser más fácil alcanzar. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos.
Well, I add my gratitude to Silvana. I have been witnessing her activity also in the foreign part here in the United States, working very closely with Destinations International and other organizations. She's very passionate. She was here in the CEO Summit. She was here at the annual meeting. She was always making the point. And that's one point. And the other thing that is a strength of Silvana's leadership, I think, is that in the bad times that we have been experiencing in these 2 years, she has been key in uniting the region. Because I don't know, maybe we have a lot of problems in Latin America. We have inconsistency, we have lack of continuity, we have lack of support of the governments. But what we do have is a very nice collaborative spirit that she has brought and she has led it all this time. So I appreciate that. And also I add my gratitude to Gary and Paul because always you have been part of this structural win. So thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you for that. And I'll just add in my appreciation as well. Eduardo, very well said. And Silvana, you've been a real treat to work with as well as the others on the team. But you know, I'm very impressed at you know, I wish all clients were like you, where you deliver a report and half of the recommendations are already completed within a month. So, fantastic work, and as we've talked about before, and Gary as well, is that you know, we're here to support the effort in Latin America. We believe, as you do, in the potential of the region. You know, we're here for the long term. And Miguel, thank you for your comments back to 2013. You know, we're not going anywhere because we delivered a report. We're here for the long term, and I just want to emphasize that with you.
Gracias a todos.
Edu, tus palabras finales y un saludito de Gary y así ya vamos cerrando.
Yo estoy listo. Gary, final words.
Gary.
Yeah, no, final words are just, again, thanks for the opportunity to work with you, and we're enjoying that. And like Paul said, we care about Latin America. We want to see you successful. So we have a saying, once a client, always a client. So that means that you guys are always a client of ours, and you can always call us, and we're always happy to help however we can. So don't hesitate to do that. And good luck to the organization and to Latin America. It's a honor, and it's fun to be working with you. So thank you very much.
Gracias,
Okay.
Gary.
Gracias, muchas gracias Gary, muchas gracias Paul, gracias Migdalia, gracias a todos los que nos acompañaron. Edu, un saludo especial a Graciela, que sé que se debe estar lamentando por no poder acompañarnos. Y bueno, nos vemos a mediados de agosto con el próximo evento, el 17, los invitamos a la Asamblea General Ordinaria en el marco de IBTM, en City Banamex. Allí nos encontramos en un evento híbrido donde vamos a presentar todo lo que hemos anunciado en este foro en el día de hoy. Muchas gracias. Buenas noches y buenos días, Gary. Hasta luego.
Gracias, hasta luego.
Gracias.
Hasta
Adiós.
luego.
Hasta luego, gracias.
Feliz tarde, noche, día.
Saludos. Thank you very much.
Bye, Andrea. Thank you.